Australia, having resumed on 113 for 4, are 215 for 5, so they're now 61 runs still behind. Labuschagne made 100. He was out for actually 111 after 98 runs had been added in 26 overs. He was caught behind at the second attempt by Bairstow. He almost dropped it off route, and Mitch Marsh remains on 31. He did actually give a difficult chance on 31, low down to Brook at short leg. Brook got a hand to it, but just popped out. And Green is not out on 3. And bowling figures wise, Mark Wood remains on 3 for 27, Woakes 1 for 31. And anyone to add to the tally today, Joe Root 1 for 32 from 6 overs, 1 maiden. So we've got Glenn McGrath and Michael Vaughan alongside me. I think first thing to say is it's a miracle we've got some play. We weren't expecting anything today, and I wonder if that gets into the players' minds a bit as well. Australia rocked up in time for lunch, basically, didn't they? I mean, it's easy to switch off.
Yeah, I think at the start of the day we all arrived thinking that absolutely no chance. So I think England they'll be disappointed that Australia scored 100. But I think if you'd have said to them at the start of the day's play, you'll get Marnus Labuschagne today. Now they've just got to get 5 more. It was 6 now, 5 more wickets. I think they'd have said yes, we'll take that. I don't think they'd have had that the wicket would fall to Joe Root and the seamers wouldn't be able to bowl. I did find it quite amusing that Joel Wilson was saying it was too dark to bowl the seamers, yet he was umpiring in sunglasses.
Yes, he was. It was curious, though.
Yeah, which was quite interesting. But look, he makes the decision. He thought it was too dark. England had to stay out there. I'm sure there were people saying, why are England staying out there with the spinners? They're scoring too freely. England have to stay out there. They have to get the wickets. And if they have to chase 50 or 60 tomorrow, they'll get those runs if there's enough time left in the game. I guess the problem for England is the weather, but the weather forecast has been wrong today. And let's hope that it's wrong tomorrow. Yeah,
it's interesting. Was there a point coming, do you think, just before Labuschagne was dismissed, that there must have been a bit of a thought in Stokes' head, thinking they are actually scoring too freely here, and they are chipping away at this deficit too much. Maybe you do have to get off, and let's hope we can get back on tomorrow.
He didn't really have an option because he has to be out there trying to get wickets, and even if Australia are scoring at 5s, he still had to stay out there. That's where it was a little bit unfair. I'd love to know that tipping point as an umpire when they deem it too kind of dark for a Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, Chris Woakes style. Mark Wood, I get. Yeah. Bowling 90 mile an hour rocks, I get that. But I wonder when that tipping point comes where they just feel it's too dark. They were both playing with great confidence. I didn't watch Marnus or Mitchell Marsh face any of the seams and go, oh yeah, that looks a bit spicy, that's a bit dodgy. There just seems to be that point, and that might be an issue tomorrow, that they've made their decision, they've got that little meter out.
Well, they have now.
They've got the reading.
Didn't at the time.
And when they get that reading, we also know as soon as it gets to that stage again tomorrow. But Cameron Green against the Osprey, it's almost if you don't mind starting with Osprey against Cameron Green. He looks very, very nervy. Mitchell Marsh looks rock solid. He looks like he's there for a long time.
It's interesting that this decision was taken about the fast bowling because there was no guarantee he was going to bowl bouncers. And yet throughout the series, the umpires have been happy to have bouncer warfare, really, and Jimmy Anderson getting peppered yesterday, coming at number 11. I think didn't stop that.
Yeah, I think Aggers, it's Test cricket. It's the one format that just seems to have these just kind of rules that come into play. No, T20 cricket, there are bouncers bowled, and there's lights are on, and there's murky conditions, and you carry on. Test match cricket, it's so protected, that they do tend to always err on the side of caution. There might be a few England fans disappointed tomorrow if it gets to that stage, and the light is offered, and it's getting very, very close, and let's hope that's the case, because we'll be out there playing. But throughout the whole series, let's be honest, England have had the better of the conditions. For the first 3 Test matches, every time Australia batted, the lights were on. So if Australia had a little bit of fortune today with that scenario, I guess it's evens itself out just a little bit.
On the other hand, Glenn, it's been a pretty good day for Australia, hasn't it? A lot of time taken out, just losing just that one wicket.
Yeah, no, Australia were ticking the score over nicely. I think Labuschagne was the main guy doing that and got on a bit of a roll. And, you would like to see him stay out a bit longer. I think England would be happy to see the back of him. If like Forney said, if they could give away 100 runs, but Labuschagne's back in the shed, you'd take that. So, yeah, it's going to be about the weather, but, it's the way it goes. I think with the red ball, it's a bit different to the white ball. And, umpire man in there, when you're looking at it through sunglasses, it probably looks quite dark. So
it's just a strange one. That we love Joel Wilson, and he's a lovely character. But I was looking at him on the picture there, actually, to see on the telly. It's dark out there, and he's got sunglasses.
Yeah, but I do think it's frustrating. We talk about Test cricket for many, many years about what can be done.
Yeah.
And are we going to talk again? All right, just pull out a pink ball and carry on. Carry on. Why are we walking on? We've got 28,000 people, millions watching on television, listening on the radio, and the bowling's changing, or you're walking off for a bit of bad light. It's that great debate. I will say I thought Marnus Labuschagne's tempo in this innings was the Marnus Labuschagne I've seen for many, many years in Australia. He got that rhythm of looking to score, against the spinner, dancing down and whacking him into the stand, not just like feathering it across the line or playing the sweet shot. He had a real intent. He had that mechanism of kind of thought to play on the onside, so the seamers go over to off stump, work it on the onside. He played with great balance, but that for me was the perfect style tempo innings for Marnus Labuschagne. I think throughout this series, it might be the fact that he's not kind of had rhythm. And sometimes when you've not got the rhythm and you've not got your movement, you're surviving, aren't you? You're just kind of hoping that you can bat a bit of time and find that rhythm. He might have just found his rhythm here. He played well in the first innings, but in the second innings there, he's played a beautiful century. That was fantastic batting from Marnus Labuschagne.
I think also it might go to show the pitch itself. It's one pace pitch. We had at Lords, there was a little bit too pace. It's hard to get your timing. Headingley was a little bit quicker and bouncier, but out here we saw the way England went about their batting. They could hit through the line. Australia didn't mix up the pace a great deal, but before the spinners came on and before they changed that ball, it wasn't doing a great deal at all. Both batsmen looked comfortable, and there was even words in the commentary box, should they be out there at the moment? It looks too easy for the batsman. But so maybe the spin was the way to go. Towards the end, it looked like it was bouncing and turning and doing everything. But the other thing is, yesterday afternoon looked pretty tough. Did Ben Stokes declare too late? If they had more of a go at him yesterday when the ball was reversing and that, could they've got him 6-7 or more down yesterday, which would have made today so much easier. But all these questions will come out to play at the end of play. If they get on tomorrow, get the last few wickets, everyone's happy. If they don't get on, then there's going to be these
and even if England are having to chase 60 or 80 runs, they'll chase them down in 10 overs.
Yes.
This pitch isn't suddenly going to crumble.
No.
It's not going to go underground. England will chase whatever Australia set them. They're not going to set them if they get bowled out with a lead. England will, I'm pretty sure, get those runs. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of how much time do we lose. And once you start losing time on the last day, as a team that's got 5 wickets remaining, that target becomes shorter and shorter, and your mind can switch on. So if Australia know that they've only got 30 overs to bat, you can be so switched on. It's just one partnership.
Yeah.
England will need a few more overs than that, I think.
I thought, and when we're doing television next door, you have the earpieces in, you've got the stump mics and all that stuff. You hear a real sense of what's going on out there. I thought England were a bit flat today. There wasn't much of the normal chatter and clapping of hands, and it just felt like I'm not just sitting back waiting for something to happen, but it wasn't the. What do you know, the noise that you get when a team
and
in
the crowd
field,
were noisy today.
They were very noisy.
Yeah, I think you're right, because they didn't get the movement. I think they wanted a bit more movement. I'd like to know what's wrong with Chris Woakes.
Yes, a couple of times now.
He couldn't bowl straight away. He bowled and then he went off, so that's a bit of a concern to me going to the Oval in a few days' time. Mark Wood, what's his body going to be like? Stuart Broad's already played 4 tests. Can he play a 5th? Jimmy Anderson's not really having the impact. Jimmy's magnificent, but we've got to be honest, he's not the Jimmy Anderson that he's been in the past. And
it's funny because I'm looking at his paces and he's 83, 84 miles an hour. And I don't know how accurate that machine is. I think sometimes it isn't accurate at all. But that you get a bit of a sense of what it is, don't you? But you're right. There isn't that zip.
Yeah, tell me, you two are bowlers. Chris Woakes, when he bowls 82 miles an hour, it's kind of kissing on and it's kind of bouncing, and there's a little bit of something on there.
It's a splice. Shoulder the back.
Jimmy's 82, 83 miles an hour at the minute. It just almost like it deadens in the pitch.
Yeah.
And the batter's got all the time in the world to play the shot. Did you ever have that in your career where you just felt that it was not floating out, but it just don't have the...
when you don't have that confidence, that energy, you're sort of bouncing in a little bit sort of lighter on your feet and it's coming out well. When you're trying to force it, and I think Jimmy's got to the stage now where it's not coming out well, so you tend to muscle it a bit more so it doesn't have that zip off the wicket. And Jimmy's not a fast bowler. He's not got a guy that's going to bowl... You're not worried about Jimmy's pace. It's movement in the air. And if it's swinging, if Jimmy's swinging both ways, which is what he's renowned for, he's brilliant. If he's not swinging that, and even in the past when he hasn't swung, he's been a little bit easier to face. He needs the ball swinging, and that's why he's had the longevity. That's why he's played as long as he has, because he's continuing to swing the ball both ways. And this series, he seems to have lost that a little bit.
Andy, what have you got?
Well, just looking at the ball tracking data on Jimmy Anderson compared with last summer in particular, his average speed this summer 81.2 miles an hour, last summer 81.4, so almost no difference. He's getting almost exactly the same amount of swing, but significantly less seam movement, and that we've seen for all bowlers this summer. Really, there's been we've had some of the least lateral movement of pitches in England in recent summers. So it's hard to say that there's anything particularly different in his bowling, but that lack of seam movement seems to have affected him. And
Which is the pitch. That's down to the pitches.
Yeah,
Oh, it's Bazball, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bazball doesn't need seaming wickets, does it? So maybe interesting.
So last summer, with these sort of very similar speed and swing movements, he had 27 wickets, averaged 17. This summer so far, 4 wickets, averaged 76. So it's a fickle game.
It is.
You can feel it starting to search a bit up to me too, just hunting wickets.
Well, it is, and it's like batting, bowling's confidence. And when you're confident, you seem to have that zip. You get a wicket early, you just get into your spell and off you go. When you don't get a wicket early, you go searching for it. It's not coming out as well. So some of those things play. But seam movement in England with the Duke ball, you expect a bit more seam movement than what we've seen this series.
Yeah. Labuschagne, he hates getting out, doesn't he? And that's an obvious thing, and everybody does. But whenever he gets out, you've almost got to drag him off the field. And there today, I remember someone saying to me, when technology first came in with the Snicko, or whatever you want to call it these days, Ultra Edge. I'll tell you what now, I said, one of the great benefits of this, I was a bit sceptical about it, you know what I'm like. You'll not get batsmen standing there anymore. They'll all walk because they don't want it to come up on the screen that they've stood there when they've nicked it. Well, it doesn't bother Marnus, does it? I mean, a big spike on there. He stood there.
Yeah, I mean, he played that shot a couple of times, and he played it nicely, but Joe Root gets a bit of extra bounce. 3 times in 3 innings he's been out to off-spin in England.
Yeah, true.
I reckon if you're coming to play in English conditions, it's the last thing that you think about. I think you think of Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, Mark Wood, Chris Wokes, and maybe he's just lapsed. I mean, I thought he played beautiful and kind of created some momentum for Australia today. He played great, but 3 in 3 and 3 big mistakes.
Yes.
You know, the lap slog at Headingley, playing across the straight one in the first innings here, and then just that dab extra bounce from Joe Root. But I did like the way he played today. I think you know, whatever he's been doing. I mean, again, cricket's such a. He might not have done anything different. He might have just gone out there and suddenly things clicked.
Yeah.
You know, things started to move better, and he just started to see the ball out of the hand better. It might be something as simple as he studied the ball that little bit better than he has been.
So when Glenn is going to wrap it up tomorrow, they'll take his last 5 wickets, and it's 2-2 going to the Oval.
Last 5 wickets, and they've scored 150 and knock them over for 70.
But Glenn, Aussies can still win here.
No,
No, are you accepting defeat here?
No, you've got to have a full day's play tomorrow.
Right.
It's never,
It's not impossible.
These two put on, 100, 150 run partnership, and you just never know.
Imagine McGrath and Warne in the same dressing room. It must have been exhausting. Really.
Well, Warney's nearly worse than what I am. So,
yeah. So getting to my point, just say, it's a scenario.
Yeah.
And the Warner issue gets looked at under the spotlight, and the balance of Australia's side. They need to play a spinner at the Oval. Hasn't Marsh played well? And doesn't Marsh look like someone to you who could go up there temporarily and open the batting? And he plays quick bowling well. He plays short bowling well. He's got a really good technique. He's a tall fella. That could get Australia around that little pickle they've got at the moment.
I think the selectors went for the easy option by picking both of them for this match. Whether there's a little bit of a fitness issue for Marsh, because he was off the field quite a bit when they were bowling, when was that, yesterday? So it's, hopefully he's fully fit. But at the crease, he's just such a big guy, strong. He's got a certain presence about him where he just walks around as if he owns it. And he doesn't look like he's not confident or anything. He looks super confident. Then you got Cameron Green, who I'm a big fan of. I just wish he'd go out there and play a little bit more relaxed and just play. He looks like he's too tentative. He's trying to be too perfect and watch the ball. looks totally the opposite. So, they'll without a doubt probably take Todd Murphy in. But the big thing for me, if England go on and win this, they've got momentum going into that last Test match. And you say Australia really have to dig deep, find something special to lift to compete with them there. So
find some fresh legs.
It's going to be interesting. Tomorrow, I think, is incredibly important. If Australia get out of this, they can save this. They retain the Ashes, obviously. But if they don't, they've got to do something special to actually retain them.
I think tomorrow decides the series. I really do, because if England get over the line, I think Australia are going to be so down and out.
Yes.
And Australia will be completely gone in terms of energy. England win here, the stiff body Stuart Broad would be, you know what it's like as a player. When you're winning, you find extra life, extra energy. I think tomorrow will decide it. If England win, I think they'll win down at the Oval. Whatever the team Australia pick, if Australia get away with tomorrow, and they're going to need some weather, but if they do that, I think the momentum and the energy will be back in Australia's legs for that, and it might flatten England. The fact this England side don't seem to be a side that really want to play for a draw. A drawn series is not what they're about. This England side is about winning the series, doing things that are completely different, doing things that are very, very special. And I just kind of look at the mentality of this England dressing room and think, will they really be itching to put out their best performance when all they can do is draw the Ashes? They should, and I hope they will. Yeah. And I think they'll give it a good effort. But sometimes, subconsciously, you just drop off because you can't win the series. And that's why I think tomorrow's going to decide the series.
The only thing in Australia's favour, if they lose this, I think they've been in sort of survival mode. All you have to do is not lose this match. A little bit negative mindset. If they go there, they know they have to win. Then again, no, you don't. You have to draw it. So, we'll wait and see. So tomorrow, I agree with Forney, is a massive day in this series.
It might be a case of on the buses down to London, arrive in London and see which bodies come out of the bus. The best it could be. When you look at Stewart, Mark Wood, Chris Wokes, Mitchell Marsh, Cameron Green, I mean...
They've all had a
Then you got Pat Cummins, who's played 5 Test matches. Josh Hazlewood's in and out. Do you bring Boland back in? Nisa, he did all right for Glamorgan. Tomorrow will decide it.
Right, thank you, Michael, and let's get some reaction now. Alison Mitchell has been speaking to the assistant England coach, Marcus Trescothick.
Marcus, how frustrating has today been? Did you feel that you had momentum with that root wicket?
Yeah, really frustrating, isn't it? The weather. You kind of know up in Manchester, as it is in the southwest where I'm from, that you do get a little bit here, but we did get more play than we expected. Looking at the forecast coming into the last sort of couple of days, today looked like a complete washout. So we were, a little bit of a bonus to think that we've got a little period of time, and we got that one wicket, but one wicket closer. But still frustrating. Obviously, the rain came down and put an end to the day's play.
And the umpires decreed that no quicks were allowed. What did you think about the light at that point?
I think we all thought that it was manageable at that time. We didn't think it deteriorated a great deal. Sat up on the balcony. We felt like we could have carried on bowling seamers, and obviously it would have been more useful than going to double spin. But that's their call. That's what they got to make the judgment when they're out there. They might have a different view. Of course they have a different view. The light meter came out, and that was the end of it.
We haven't seen much of Chris Wokes last night or today. Is he struggling with a fitness issue?
Just sort of nursing a little bit of stiffness in legs and things like that. I think he's had a busy couple of weeks, trying to manage little niggles as all bowlers do, trying to keep on top of those. I think we'll just sort of keep an eye on him over the next sort of 24 hours. Obviously, then see whether he can perform tomorrow, and then how he'll be going into next week. So we'll keep an eye on it.
And from what you saw with the spin, are the quicks still going to be key, regardless of how much play is possible tomorrow, with a new ball not far away as well?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of effort there with the spin. You could see that the odd ball was doing a little bit of something, and Ruti got one to swing also. So I think seam is going to be the biggest part, but you're going to need the spinners at some point as well, maybe to hold an end up or attack from one end while the seamers can get away. But the new ball might be pivotal. I think it's still swung a little bit for the seamers today, because the guys have got the ball reversing, but the dampness around is going to change that pretty quickly. The new ball might make an impact. We're going into day 5. Hopefully there'll be a bit of. Hopefully we'll just get on and we can sort of plan around what we're going to do after that.
Joe Root does have a bit of a knack, doesn't he?
Yeah, a little bit of a golden arm at times, isn't he? Just had that ability to come on and make something happen, change the momentum of play and pick up something, and just cause a bit of mayhem in the team really. But yeah, and he's useful in the team.
Do you feel that you're perhaps just 1-2 wickets more away from being able to run through to win the match?
I think it really does depend on the weather, doesn't it? I think we wanted to get probably a 2 or 3 today. If we would have done that, then it would have been a lot closer. But you're in the lap of the goal to really sort of keeping an eye on the weather forecast and seeing what's happening. Any play that we'll take any play that we can get tomorrow. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed indeed. Thanks, Marcus.
Thanks.
And now we're going to hear from the century maker, Marnus Labuschagne.
Marnus, congratulations on an Ashes 100 away from home as well. How special was that innings given the context of the match?
Well, that's yet to be seen. I think it's hard to sort of judge where I feel at the moment with it. Obviously, always very special getting a Test 100. It doesn't happen that often. But very disappointed there that I couldn't get us, at least to lunch there, and then tea, and then we could recap. And obviously, I think that's the end of the day's play now as well.
Should point out the booing is just for play being called off. Crowd, I'm sure, appreciative of your work. Did you feel the light was particularly bad at the time that the umpires said no more quick bowling?
It's sometimes so hard to judge because we're so used to playing with lights on. So I think if you take the lights off, I think it becomes so dark, and batting with the red ball under artificial light, it was never the design. But once again, that's a call that's not in the players' hands. The umpires made the decision that it was too dark, and we just played from there.
How do you feel the pitch is playing with the work that's still to be done, weather permitting, tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we were so close to having a tremendous day there, probably getting 100 runs off that lead, only needing 60 to be within England's first innings total. And then the wicket feels all right. Obviously, it's deteriorating a little bit. They just got that ball change, which seems to have a little bit more swing, although we only faced one over from Anderson with the new ball. But obviously that'll be a challenge in the morning or in the afternoon, whenever, if we get some play tomorrow, we'll be negating that swinging ball. And then for us, it's about, especially now with this day being over, it's just about saving this Test match and retaining the Ashes.
And for you personally, when we spoke a couple of days ago, you were frustrated with the starts you'd been getting, and it'd been like 23 innings since your last Test 100, which was an incredible run of form in Australia. So what do you feel made things click for you?
Well, like I said after we chatted the first day, it's just I felt like my game's in a really good space now. Leading up to this point, I probably wouldn't have said so. I didn't feel as clear. Coming into this game, I felt really clear and really confident about my technique and how I was batting. And from there, I was then able to just be really confident and go back to my real big strength, which is decision-making outside off stump and making England bowl, forcing their hand to bowl a lot of balls at me and being able to take our time out of the game.
And you've had Andy Flower in the dressing room. Has he been a particular help as a consultant coach?
Yeah, I love talking to Andy. I love talking to all coaches. Just I love to see their point of view on the game, and I had a couple of good sessions with Andy in that nets the other day, and more just talking about the game and sort of more for him getting a feel and understanding of my game and what I want to feel out there and what gives me confidence. And it's been a real help.
You may yet have scored a match-saving 100. We'll find out. Well done, Marnus.